Hi, this is Don McAllister, and welcome to another ScreenCastsOnline weekly tip video. Twitter is a fantastic way of gathering news and keeping up to date with the latest topics, but it can be a little overwhelming, especially in light of recent events. Now, one way to keep your sanity is to use mute filters and Twitter lists. So in this tip, I'll show you setting mute filters on TweetBot for both the Mac and iOS, and I'll take a look at Twitter lists in a future tip video. Now, firstly, on the Mac, I've got TweetBot here, which is my client of choice for Twitter. You can mute people, you can mute keywords, you can mute hashtags, and even Twitter app clients to filter Twitter posts from your timeline. So let's take a start at muting people in TweetBot. Now, this is just a standard timeline. I've got various people and I'm subscribed to Twitter using my demo account. Let's say I wanted to mute standard issue. This is just a user. It might be that a particular user that you're following goes off on a rant or is posting lots of things that you're not interested in and you want to mute them for a period of time rather than actually deleting them from Twitter. The way you would do it would be to click on their avatar. If you go to this little cogwheel here, you can see there is an option for mute. It gives you the option to mute them for a day, a week, a month, or forever. Let's just go ahead and say a week. So standard issue will be muted for 7 days. If I just go back to the timeline, you'll see that that tweet has now disappeared. So that's how you can mute people. Now, you can also mute keywords. Let's say I don't really want to follow anything about the EU for the next week. Perhaps it's bubbled up to the top of the news again, and I want to remove all tweets in my timeline related to EU. The way I would do that would be go down to here, click on this little bubble with an X in. You can see here there's my person that I've muted, standard issue, but here I can add keywords. If I click on here, type EU, I can also mute mentions and mute searches, but I'll just leave it with mute lists. And let's say, again, I wanted to change it, say, for just a week. I can see down here there are 4 matching tweets in my timeline of 87 tweets. And once I click save, they will disappear. You can actually use regular expressions, if you're familiar with regular expressions, to create quite complex keyword filters. But I'll just leave it as EU. We'll say save. Let's go back to our tweets, and you'll see that that particular tweet has now disappeared. And any further tweets that get published within the next 7 days with EU in, regardless of who tweeted the particular message, will be muted from my timeline. Now, it's also possible to mute hashtags. If I just scroll down, if there's a particular meme going on that you don't want to be involved in, such as this one here, this is a hashtag of online influencers. To mute this particular hashtag and have all the tweets that have this hashtag in the timeline removed, just Control or right click. I can tweet the hashtag, so I can create a new tweet that includes the hashtag, or I can mute. And again, if I click on mute, I can mute for a day, a week, a month, or forever. Let's go ahead and let's just say a day for that, and that will disappear. Now, it is possible also to mute tweets that have been issued by certain Twitter clients, and you can add those into your mute list here. But I'll not do that for now. So now you can see I've got one person muted, I've got the keyword EU muted, and I also have the hashtag online influencers. If I want to remove these, I can just click edit, and then let's say that hashtag, I'll just remove that, and the mute has now been removed from that particular hashtag. Let's go ahead and take a look at how to set up mute filters on iOS. Across on my iPhone 7 Plus, I've got TweetBot installed, and I can go ahead and set up the same mechanisms for mute filters on here. Now, any mute filters I've set up across on my Mac will be synchronized across using iCloud. Let's go ahead and go through those 4 different options. First off, people. Let's say I wanted to mute BBC Breaking News. Tap on the avatar, tap on the cog, and then go into mute. And again, I've got my selection of days. Let's go for a week. Okay, back out to the timeline, and that tweet now disappears. If I want to mute a keyword, for instance, if I wanted to mute all those tweets, let's say with the word Netflix, as in the first tweet here at the top of my timeline, the first thing I would need to do is to access the mute button, and that's hidden by default. If I actually tap on either the activity or the search button at the bottom, tap and hold, we get this pop-up list, and I can select the mute button. You can see I've got standard issue has been muted from the Mac and also EU. Let's add a keyword. Let's say Netflix. Again, I could mute mentions, mute searches, but we'll just leave that as is. Duration forever. Okay, let's go ahead and say save. If I go back to my timeline, that tweet has now disappeared. and any subsequent tweets with Netflix in would also not appear here. Quick look at hashtags. Let's find a hashtag. Okay, here's a hashtag, online influences. Let's say I wanted to mute that. Now I can't actually tap and hold to mute this, because if I do tap it or tap and hold, it will either with Touch 3D show me a list of online influences or just take me into that particular list. So what I need to do is go to the mute button, add hashtag, and then just type in the hashtag. Okay, hope I've spelt it right. Yes, I've got one matching tweet, so that's probably it. Hit save, and then we can come out. Yeah, and that tweet disappears. To mute Twitter clients, it's the same. Go into the mute button, and you can add the client down at the bottom. So that's how to filter out unwanted tweets from your main timeline. In a couple of weeks, I'll take a look at setting up Twitter lists. If you want to learn more about using your Apple devices, there are over 700 full video tutorials available to ScreenCastsOnline members, covering all aspects of the Mac, iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, and even the Apple TV. Now, all full members receive a new Apple-related video tutorial each and every week, as well as a free subscription to the ScreenCastsOnline monthly magazine, packed with videos and articles on getting the most out of your Apple devices. Now, you can get your free 14-day trial membership over at ScreenCastsOnline.com, or check out some of the free content over on the SCO Showcase app on the iPad, iPhone, and Apple TV. That's it for this week. I'll be back next week with another tip, so I'll speak to you then.